Are we watching ancient biblical prophecies unfold in today's headlines? Stay tuned and find out Friday night's top three stories of the week. Pilgrims Grey Chronicles coming at you.
You're listening to Pilgrims Grey Chronicles, top three stories of the week. The world's gone strange, but we love a good peek. From shadows deep to the global stage, we bring the truth from age to age. With harmony bold and a skeptical tone, we dig up the news they don't want known. So stoke the fire and have a seat. This week's top three can't be beat. Pilgrims Grey Chronicles.
Yeah, buddy. So, hello, folks. Pilgrims Grey Chronicles, Robert Clark, your host. Excited to guide you through our top three prophecy-themed news stories of the week. And are we watching ancient biblical prophecies unfold in today's headlines? I think so. But, you know, we got three stories, so stay tuned. We're going to explore some extraordinary developments from Iran's missile ambitions to shifting Middle East alliances to ominous drone swarms over Europe, and ask the question, could these events be setting the stage for what Scripture foretold? So we'll dive into each story with a storytelling narrative that connects the dots to prophecy, and to keep things interesting, I'm going to be posing a few questions along the way. After all, who doesn't perk up when a question gets you thinking, right? So get comfortable and let's journey through these signs of the times together. So number one, we have Iran's threatened missile expansion and a possible move toward Ezekiel 38. Who knows? So, in a bold move, Iran is openly signaling it may extend its ballistic missile reach far beyond previous limits. And Tehran had long capped its missiles at about 2,000 kilometers, give or take, right? And it was a self-imposed range said to be enough to hit Israel. But now a senior IRGC commander insists the range of Iran's missiles will be increased to any point deemed necessary. Isn't that nice? So responding defiantly to Western pressure to curb its missile program. In fact, Brigadier General Mohad Jafar Asadi declared that our missiles will reach the range that they need to. And that's all he said. Our missiles will reach the range that they need to. It's a very interesting statement. And these aren't just idle words, of course. During a brief war this past June, Iran fired hundreds of missiles at Israeli targets. And Iranian officials boast that their missile power even constrained that conflict to just 12 days. So if Iran now expands its missile range further, it could strike not only deep into Israel, but potentially across the Middle East and even parts of Europe. A frightening escalation for the region, possibly. I personally feel like with as incompetent as sometimes some of these things go off, a lot of people have believed that it would be Israel taking out Damascus, fulfilling a prophecy from Isaiah, but maybe it's their own people doing it, and maybe they'll destroy the Dome of the Rock by mistake. Who knows? We'll see. But from a prophetic angle, many are asking, could Iran's muscle flexing be setting the stage for the alliance of nations in Ezekiel 38? In the Bible, the prophet Ezekiel describes a future invasion of Israel by a coalition of hostile nations. Strikingly, Persia, the ancient name for Iran, is specifically listed as one of the key allies of Gog, a leader from the land of Magog. And in that prophecy, this Iranian or Persia will join forces with others to attack Israel in the last days, only to be supernaturally defeated. So if Iran is now enhancing its long-range strike capabilities, it certainly fits the picture of a nation gearing up for a major role at some point in a future conflict, perhaps. Um, although there is debate on whether or not that particular war is at the beginning or during or even after the millennial reign. So it's really hard to tell, right? And I think that is on purpose in Scripture, to confuse the adversary or adversaries, you know. So are we witnessing early moves perhaps then in that particular prophecy? I think it's a possibility. Iran's newfound reach could even embolden it to act as the long arm of a coalition against Israel. Exactly what we'd expect if Ezekiel 38 is on the horizon, I suppose. But what do you think? I just think it's a possibility. I'm not saying that this is the case. I really lean more towards it being a part of the Gog Magog thing at the end of the millennial reign that's being described. But obviously, I could be wrong. And if you have some interesting ideas on the subject, feel free to put it in the comments section. I'd also like to know, is Iran's missile expansion just geopolitical posturing? Or could it be part of aligning pieces on the prophetic chessboard? I mean, it's a development prophecy watchers are going to be keeping on their radar for sure. I know many of the ones that I pay attention to definitely mention the article, and you know, not the article, but the idea that Iran has made these statements. And then we have Trump's security guarantees to Qatar as our second, which seems to be a redrawing of alliances, right? Our next story shifts to an unexpected shakeup in Middle East alliances in a headline that caught many by surprise. U.S. President Donald Trump issued a major security guarantee to the Gulf nation of Qatar this week, pledging American military protection for Qatar's territory. So this promise came on the heels of a dramatic event. Israel carried out a controversial airstrike in Doha, the capital of Qatar, targeting Hamas leadership sheltering there. So the strike on September 9th, I believe it was, killed several people, including a Qatari security officer on Qatari soil. And Qatar, a wealthy Arab state and host to a key U.S. airbase, was understandably shaken, I guess would be the word, but probably a little angry. In response, not only did Prime Minister Netanyahu personally call Qatar's emir to apologize, which seems odd to me, but President Trump stepped in with an executive order essentially treating any attack on Qatar as an attack on the United States. So, I don't know, you talk about a realignment. This moves Qatar into a near NATO-level partnership with the U.S., right? I mean, something unthinkable a few years ago when relations were strained. And so Qatar welcomed the guarantee. Why wouldn't they? Hey, free air support, free whatever. And it's playing a growing role as a mediator in the Israel-Hamas conflict and regional diplomacy. So prophetically speaking, we have to ask, do these shifting alliances hint at the lineup of nations foretold in Scripture, right? Some of these prophecies, like Zechariah 12 through 14, describe a scenario where all nations gather against Israel in the last days. Zechariah 12:3 warns that Jerusalem will become a heavy stone for all the peoples, and that all the nations of the earth will be gathered against it. Obviously, we're not at that climax yet, but look at what's happening, right? Israel's traditional alliances are in flux. New partnerships are being forged, and even friendly nations are being forced into awkward positions, right? And here we see Qatar, which has hosted figures hostile to Israel, now being pulled closer by the U.S., possibly to stabilize the region. So could this be part of the setup for Zechariah's scenario, where nations jostle and form camps around the issue of Israel? It's almost as if the geopolitical chessboard is being rearranged in different ways right before our eyes. And Today, Qatar, right? Tomorrow, perhaps other nations will choose sides. I mean, sometimes things go really so slow, and sometimes they just pop really fast, you know. And this makes me think, are we inching towards the day when Israel stands practically alone with the world arrayed against it? It seems like people are increasingly um, critical of Israel, right? So this Qatar development shows just how quickly alliances can be redrawn. And it's a reminder that the stage is being set for a final act that will eventually happen. And it's a sobering signal, and it makes you wonder, I mean, how soon will we see the next puzzle piece fall into place, right? Could be over the weekend, like, could be by the end of October, but things sure do seem to shift pretty fast. And then we have this story number 3, this bizarre drone threat over Europe. I don't even know what to think of this. But I don't like the idea of drones. It makes killing too easy. It sounds weird to say that, but don't you think it kind of does? It takes almost takes the human element out of it. Even though I know the drones are being piloted, it's like it's a further level of detachment. You're not, yes, you're pulling the trigger, but I don't know. It almost seems like it's a video game. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to be monitoring something over a computer screen where you're monitoring or even putting something on autopilot. It's quite another thing when you pop your head up out of a trench and you're shooting somebody and you see them go down. So I don't know. It just makes me think it'll be so much easier for humans to kill other humans, which is sad. Um, so anyway, the skies, right, over Europe. We got a wake-up call about new era warfare this week when mysterious drones disrupted operations at Munich International Airport. So on the eve of a German national holiday, multiple drone sightings over the Munich airport forced air traffic controllers to halt flights, leading to 17 flight cancellations, and many diversions. I find it interesting that Reuters mentions 17 as the number. It's interesting. And then nearly 3,000 passengers were stranded overnight as officials scrambled to respond to the threat. It wasn't an isolated incident either. Similar drone incursions shut down airports in Denmark and Norway the week before. German authorities still don't know who was behind the Munich drones because it was dark and they couldn't even determine how many drones there were or their types. But the timing and pattern have raised suspicions of a deniable hybrid attack possibly linked to Russia. So just think about this. With war raging in Ukraine, could someone be testing Europe's defenses by using small unmanned aircraft to sow chaos? Germany's interior minister said drone threats will be a major topic at their upcoming EU security meeting. And officials are even considering giving police the green light to shoot down drones before they cause disaster. So it's just kind of a stark reminder that the face of warfare is changing, right? Little drones can now do what bombs and armies did in the past. And drones come in various sizes. So, and it can shut down a major airport and instill fear, right? And multiple ways of attack. And so, if you connect this to the bigger picture, Jesus warned that the last days would be marked, of course, by wars and rumors of wars. And we've had that all throughout the centuries. And we usually imagine tanks and troops, but what if the wars of tomorrow look like swarms of drones buzzing in the night, right? Everybody's afraid to go outside. And maybe even afraid to stay in your home if they send you a large enough weapon to blow you up in your house. So this drone threat over Europe is a perfect example of how warfare is entering an age of stealth and asymmetry. In biblical terms, one could say the ancient conflict, even the primeval seed war between good and evil we cover here, is morphing technologically. The weapons of our day are not swords and spears, but unmanned aircraft, cyber attacks, and AI-driven tools, and information warfare, right? So prophecy students often puzzle over how descriptions of end times battles translate to modern technology. For instance, could the strange flying locust creatures in Revelation be symbolic of advanced weaponized drones of some sort? We don't really know for sure. Or they could just be straight up demons. We're not 100% certain. And I really don't want to be here to find out. But it is fascinating and a bit unnerving to see how easily modern tech can throw nations into complete confusion. And one thing is clear: humanity's increasing reliance on high-tech warfare means even powerful nations are vulnerable to disruptive attacks that can come out of virtually nowhere and anywhere. And it feels like a preview of absolute upcoming chaos, right? And is the world preparing for conflicts unlike any that we have seen before? I mean, if so, it seems to align with the idea that unprecedented times, the kind that prophecy speaks of, are approaching. So I know that I will be keeping a watch on the drone stories, and they might be telling us that the next war won't be fought with just boots on the ground. In fact, seldom are they just boots on the ground. There's always something going on in the air. And maybe we'll have more technology going on up there. But anyway, those were the three stories that I found most intriguing for the week. There were others, but I felt like those three were probably going to be the most significant over the next few months, possibly. But in the meantime, our lamps are burning low. We're tired here at the Pilgrims Grey Inn, and the wind outside carries the distant hum, if you can hear it. I can, of the world's unrest. The prophets spoke of these days when nations would scheme in the shadows and men's hearts would faint for fear of what's coming upon the earth, right? Yet the light still shines, not from any throne of man, but from the King who rides unseen upon the storm. And so, travelers and fellow pilgrims and new listeners, if you're new, please join us by subscribing and liking and sharing and commenting and letting us know your point of view, right? And just know that the road ahead twists through ancient prophecies and present wars, and that the seed war still rages. And if you don't know what that is, stay tuned to the channel, Pilgrims Grey Chronicles podcast, because we go over it all the time, the various aspects of it, anything from who is Israel to what shape is the earth. All of these things matter in the seed war because they're all a part of it. Nowadays the war seems to rage through wires, machines, and whispering powers behind the curtain, right? And that though darkness plots its hour, the author of time has already written the final page, right? So keep your lantern trim, keep your heart anchored to the truth, and never forget the road that goes ever on still leads upwards to a city not built by hands. And until we meet again by the watchfire here at the inn, which will be Monday of next week, which I'm pretty sure we have an interview scheduled with Matt. I'll need to remind him of it, from Shepherd for the King. This is Pilgrims Grey Chronicles signing off from the edge of the known world. But walk wisely, stay curious, and keep your eyes on the eastern sky, because the dawn, I believe, is nearer than we think. And we so often think of the storms coming, but there is a time that the dawn comes, right? Although that is one of my favorite lines, again, out of the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, when he tells Mary, the darkness has begun, there will be no dawn. But there will be. We know there will be a dawn, and we look forward to it. In the meantime, you all have a great weekend, and Godspeed to every one of you.